Talk about footwork. Specifically, let's talk about your trail foot in the golf swing. Now, many talk about footwork, but few give you many details. It's always just get this feeling. Sometimes they'll have you pretend like you're throwing a baseball or something else, but they don't really teach you what the feet are supposed to do. I'm going to go into depth and give you multiple drills so you can figure out what your trail foot is supposed to do. Now, this is going to be a series. It's not a one-off. Like I said, there are multiple drills here to learn how your trail foot is supposed to work. At the end, you know exactly what you're supposed to do. First, let's talk about your stance. Specifically, your foot position. Now, I want your trail foot to be at 90 degrees to the line. I don't want it out. I don't want it in. 90 degrees to the line. It'll make sense later. Your lead foot should be splayed out a little bit. It should not be square to the line. Your lead foot should have a little splay out. So it's square to the line, splayed out. Also, let's talk about your shoes. You must wear spikes. I know there are a lot of people who like to wear tennis shoes, particularly to the driving range for some people. They feel like, oh, it's just the driving range, I don't need it. You need spikes. When you start having good footwork, you start driving your trail foot into the ground and you're using that ground. If you're not wearing spikes, your foot is going to twist and slide on the ground. If your foot starts twisting and sliding, then you're going to learn how to hit without using your footwork. Your body wants to keep you balanced. So if you're going to lose your balance because your feet are sliding out from under you, your body is going to change your swing. So even when you're practicing on the driving range, you must wear spikes so you'll get that same feeling of driving into the ground and using the ground forces. Without spikes, you'll just be all over the place. Now, your trail foot is one of your main power sources. Without spikes on your feet or without using it, you're going to lose a lot of power in the swing. You'll be surprised when we get to the end of this that when I show you how to use your trail foot, you'll be able to hit it just as far just using your trail foot to drive your swing as you can using all these other muscles without using your trail foot. Like I said, this is a series. This is part one. You need to watch the whole series. Each series will have a little bit of a drill. This is part two in the series of footwork for your trail foot. Now, I want you to stand up straight. And I want you to take your PVC pipe and take your stance. Remember, your trail foot is supposed to be at a right angle, about shoulder width, and right angle to the line. I want you to take this PVC pipe and put it across your chest. And I want you to turn your shoulders. This is just a shoulder turn. Now, I want you to notice the feel in the trail foot. When you get back here to this fully turn, you're going to feel like your trail foot wants to slide out. You can feel it digging into the ground. That's what I want you to do. You just turn and feel like you're turning your trail foot into the ground. Imagine that someone's got you by your shoulders and they're screwing you down into the ground. That's the feeling I want. Your shoulders are screwing you down into the ground, and your feeling of being screwed into the ground is in your trail foot. So just come back and turn your shoulders and screw your trail foot into the ground. That's the turn. That's the exercise. I said we're going to keep them small. That's the drill. Just turn your shoulders and screw your trail foot into the ground. Just feel it turning. Go all the way out to your max. If you don't feel that your foot is just about to slide out, then you haven't turned far enough. Just turn as far as you can and feel that trail foot screwing into the ground. It should almost be yelling at you saying, hey, you're about to lose your footing because you've turned so far. Again, this is why you need spikes. You cannot do this in tennis shoes. And you need to be flat-footed when you do this. You need your heel on the ground and you need the ball of your foot on the ground. If you've got your heel off the ground and you turn, you're just going to slide around. You don't have enough spikes in the ground. You need both in there digging into the ground. Just turn and feel that like that trail foot's about to slide out from under you. Now I want you to do this drill 100 times. Remember, you should have a clicker with you. I've got one here. Everybody should have one, and I want you to do it 100 times in 5-turn increments, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then take your clicker, click it 5 times. Don't do more than 5 at a time. It's been shown that when you do a few and then take a break, that you learn more than trying to do them all the way through. But do at least 100 counts of this drill. I want you to do at least 100 of all the drills I'm going to show you. It will really drill it in. You'll get that feeling in, and then you'll understand how to do it time after time after time. So again, you take your stance, trail foot at a right angle, both the ball of your feet and heel on the ground. This is not about your toes. Don't get up on your toes. You're going to be flat-footed. And then make your turn with your shoulders. 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, feel like your trail foot is being screwed into the ground. That's the feeling I want you to go for. This is part 3 in the series of footwork, specifically about your trail foot. If you haven't watched the first 2 episodes of this, please go back and watch them so you won't be confused. Now remember what we did in the last episode? We took our pipe and we put it across our chest, took our stance, and we made a turn. We wanted to learn the feeling of screwing that trail foot right down into the ground. That's the feeling we're looking for. Your trail foot screws right down into the ground. Now we're going to learn the move that happens when you get to the top of the backswing. Remember our first move? We're just turning our shoulders and screwing everything down. Our next move is going to be to twist our foot. And that movement goes like this. This is the movement you're going to make with your foot. You're just going to take it and turn it out 90 degrees. Again, take it and turn it out 90 degrees. Now, I know that doesn't look like a golf move, and your foot doesn't move that way. It doesn't actually slide out in the golf swing. But remember, I'm up on my heel a little bit here and taking my spikes out of the ground. Look what happens, though, when I keep my spikes dug in and I make that little foot twist at the top of the turn. Remember our previous drill? I'm going to turn back and then I'm going to make my trail foot twist. That entire turn was driven by that move with my foot. I didn't use my legs, I didn't use my hips, I didn't use my core, I didn't use my shoulders, didn't use any other part of my body. I used that one little move with my foot, twisting out. And you can see you get a pretty powerful turn just using that little move. In fact, some of you are going to find that you're going to be hitting the ball farther just using this move than you were using all the other muscles of your body, but not using very good footwork. I mean, there's a lot of power that comes up from your feet if you just learn how to harness it. So again, the move looks like this when you actually keep your spikes dug in. You just turn back and come forward. There's a lot of turning motion, a lot of forward motion when you use that. So here's the drill I want you to do, and I want you to do it 100 times. Just sit up with your foot, be a little light on your ball of your feet, most of your weight is on your heel, and I want you to just turn. Okay, just turn that toe out 90 degrees. Turn. Now this is a drill you can do in tennis shoes if you want, if you don't want to mess up the ground. But when you get to actually on the course, you're going to want spikes because you're not going to want your foot to turn. But for this exercise, you just take your foot, trail foot, and the toe, and turn your toe out 90 degrees. Turn. I want you to do this 100 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, keep track of it. Keep your clicker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do it in groups of 5. Don't try to do all 100 through at the same time. It's been shown when you break these long repetitive exercises up into smaller groups, you learn more and you'll retain more. Now I know this doesn't look like much of a drill, and a lot of y'all are thinking, oh, I can skip that. Don't. In fact, of all the drills in this series, this is the most important. Because if you don't learn this movement, none of the others will work. And you need to drive it in to the point that it's subconscious, where you can do it without even thinking about it. Again, it's just turn. Turn. If you don't drive it in, so it's subconscious, then when you try to do it, you'll just fall back into your old habits. So do it at least 100 times. If you need to do it more, do it more. This is a quick drill. You can get through it quickly, but it's the most important drill in all of these. Just take your foot, turn, turn. Do it 100 times, and this is the method you're going to learn for when you get torqued all the way at the top. You've got all that torque in your body, you're fully twisted, fully coiled, and then you just make that little move with your back foot and everything else happens. This is number 4 in the series of footwork for your trail foot. If you haven't watched the previous ones, please go back and watch them. So remember what we did in our previous drills. We took our pipe, our stance, and we learned how to turn back and screw our trail foot down into the ground. We have the feeling of the trail foot screwing itself down into the ground. And then in our next drill, we learned how to take our trail foot and turn it out at the toe. Just turn it out. Now we're going to combine those two. We're going to make that full turn, and then we're going to turn our trail foot out at the toe, but we're going to keep our spikes dug into the ground. We're going to keep our trail foot flat-footed on the ground with our spikes dug in. What that will do is will power us to turn in the other direction. Now recall, the turn on your back turn is a shoulder move. You don't use your hips or your legs, it's just your shoulders. It's your shoulders screwing you down into the ground. I want you to turn like this. Now that little move there was powered completely by my trail foot, completely by this movement. I did not use my hips, I didn't use my core, I didn't use my shoulders, just this little move on my foot. And notice it makes a pretty good swing. You're going to be surprised just how much power comes out of just that one little move with your foot. In fact, for a lot of you, you'll be hitting it just as far just using this little move with your foot as you were using all the other muscles of your body and having bad footwork. So again, keep your body relaxed. Really the only two things you're using this are your shoulders on the back turn and your trail foot on the down turn. So just turn it and twist. Now one thing to remember is on this trail foot, you want to keep your heel down and your foot flat as long as you can. When you come on the downswing, you don't want to come up on your toe. You want to come to the inside of your foot, keeping your heel down. It's the momentum of your turn that eventually drags you up onto your toe. If you're having to use your muscles to get up on your toe, then you're really coming up too early. And there are a lot of bad things that happen when you come up on your toe. When you come up on your toe, on your swing, early, it moves your hips out. When you move toward the line, when your hips move out, then your hands have to move out because there's not enough space. When your hands have to move out, then you have to come from the outside over the top. And of course, you know, when you come over the top, you're going to slice. So keeping that heel down as long as possible so you can come from the inside is very important. So you keep that heel down and you let it roll. Let me show you exactly with my foot how long the heel stays down in this. Notice how late my heel came up? That's because it's being drug up by momentum. I'm not trying to get on my toes. If you try to get up on your toes, you're going to slice, or I believe the correct term here is humping the goat, sticking your hips out. So stay off of that. Now, the reason I'm having you do this with a pipe is so you can learn that feeling in your shoulders of your shoulders being left behind. I'm sure you've all heard instructors talk about at the top of the backswing, how it feels like they complete their backswing and then they start their downswing, but it feels like their arms are being left behind, like their arms are still moving backwards even though they've started the downswing. This is how you get that feeling. Because what happens is you make your turn to the top and your momentum of your shoulder turn is still going, and then you start to twist your trail foot. Start to use your footwork to drive your downswing. And when you do that, yeah, the bottom part of your body is moving down, but the top part is continuing to move back. When you use a pipe to practice with, it'll overemphasize that and you'll learn that feeling. So that's part of this drill, is to learn that feeling at the top of the backswing. Learn the feeling that your shoulders are being left behind when you start the downswing, like they're still moving back even though you've started the downswing. Now, I want you to do this 100 times. Again, you need to drill this in. Don't skip the drills or the repetitions. They don't take that long. You can get your clicker and do them 5 repetitions at a time. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One other thing, as I'm thinking about it, it's important to keep this foot flat-footed. If you get to the top of your turn and you're rolling out onto the edge, you're going to have problems. You need to keep flat-footed. Definitely flat-footed. If anything, you're going to vary. You want to be a little bit on the inside of the edge. But flat-footed is the best way to have it. It keeps all your spikes down and gives you the most power. But definitely, once you've rolled out on this edge, you've raised your spikes up off the ground, and you don't have enough power to really turn, you can't really dig in. So that's the drill. It's number 4. Do it 100 times. This is episode number 5 in our trail footwork series. If you haven't watched the previous ones, please go back and watch them. Okay, remember what we did in our prior videos? We learned with our pipe how to twist our body, or turn our body, and really kind of screw it right down into the ground. Then we learned this little exercise with our trail foot, we're turning it. Then we learned how to combine those and learn how to turn by just using the power of our trail foot. Well, now we're going to do that last drill we were doing with the pipe, only we're going to do it with a club. So what you're going to do is just take a club, and we're going to do this standing up straight. You take the angles out of your golf swing, and a lot of things that you thought were complicated turn out to be very simple movements. So that's why we're doing them standing up straight. Your club, put it in front of you, and remember, you turn your shoulders. Just keep your arms relaxed in this. Turn your shoulders, and then you twist your foot. And that's the movement. Now, if you haven't watched my series on how to fold your arms in the backswing, please watch that. It'll clear up a lot of your misconceptions about what your arms do in the backswing. Now, on this move, remember the pipe, we just used our shoulders to turn. When you have your club in your hand, guess what? You just use your shoulders to turn. For goodness sake, please don't try to throw your hands around in the turn, and don't try to drag the club around with your hands. The back turn is not an arm or hand movement. Your arms stay in front of your body the whole time. They stay in front of your chest the whole time of the turn. The only thing they do is fold. They come up to this position. They go from here to here. It may feel like you're swinging it, but really you're just folding and unfolding. Like I said, if you haven't seen my video on how to fold your arms in the backswing, please go watch it. It'll clear up a lot of your confusion. So back to this exercise. Just take your hands, you take your club, put it in front of you. Make sure your foot is at a right angle. Your spikes are dug into the ground. And we're just going to turn our shoulders and twist our foot. Again, that entire move was made on the downswing with the muscles of my right foot. It was made with this motion. I'm doing this motion with my foot. Also remember, you want to roll up on the inside of your foot. You do not want to come up on your toes early. Again, just put the club in front of you and turn and twist. Now, one of the things you should be feeling with this drill is the feeling that your club and arms are being left behind on the swing. I'm sure a lot of you have heard teachers say that and heard players say, yeah, I go in the backswing, and when I start my downswing, it feels like my club and arms are being left behind. Well, the way you get that feeling is to start your downswing from the ground up. And if you're doing this one correctly, you'll get that feeling because it's your foot, your trail foot, that's driving the turn. You're going from the ground up. So as you're turning back, the momentum is still carrying your shoulders, your arms, and your club back while you're starting to turn your foot in the other direction. So I want you to try to key on and make sure you're getting that feeling. Let's go to the back. Just make sure you're getting that feeling that your arms are being left behind. I know it looks like I'm pausing at the top. I'm not. What's happening is it takes a moment for your foot to overcome that inertia of swinging backwards. So I'm actually not pausing. It looks that way, but I'm not. Anyway, do this drill 100 times. Remember, keep your foot square. If you get it open, you can't torque your foot into the ground. And if you can't torque your foot into the ground, you can't get any power. It really doesn't matter how far your backswing goes. If your foot's not torqued well into the ground, then you're then when you make your downswing, you're just making a longer downswing, but you're not making a powerful downswing. Power comes from having that foot fully torqued and driven down into the ground and using those ground forces to initiate your swing. Again, do this drill 100 times, really drill it in, doesn't take that long, and okay, this is episode number 6 in the Trail Footwork series. If you haven't watched the previous ones, please go back and watch them. So now we're going to do our turn from an athletic or golf stance. I want you to take your pipe, and yeah, I know a lot of you are saying, hey, we just worked with a golf club, why work with the pipe again? Because when you start introducing these angles into your golf swing, it's very easy to go offline and become confused. The pipe will help you not be confused in this move. So I want you to learn it bent over with a pipe first, and then we're going to do it with a golf club. But please do this drill with a pipe. So again, we're going to take our pipe. We're going to take our golf stance. Just get it in a nice athletic stance, flat-footed, and just make our turn, and then just twist our trail foot. Let's turn, twist. Okay? Doesn't have to be fast. We're learning this movement. You know, this is not a tempo drill. We're just trying to learn how to turn back with our shoulders and turn down with our trail foot. So it's turn and twist. Again, it's turn and twist. And you can let your head turn with the pipe. Here, we're not, quote, keeping our eye on the ball. I want you to be relaxed. And remember, though, you should still feel your trail foot screwing into the ground. If you don't, then just do a few drills, or actually as many as you need to, even if it's 100, of just the back turn so you get that feeling of your foot screwing into the ground. Just, okay? Just go this far. Hopefully after doing them standing, you should be pretty good at screwing your trail foot into the ground. But if you're not, or if, bending over is somehow throwing you for a loop, which it does sometimes, then do a number of drills just turning into the ground. Again, keep your body relaxed. The back turn is just your shoulders. The down turn is just your trail foot. You're not using your legs, your hips, your core. It's just turn and turn. And you notice it's even more obvious when you do it here, how the pipe continues to turn even after you've started to twist your trail foot. Your shoulders are getting left behind in the golf swing. Turn, turn. We're doing these slow. It's not a tempo drill. Do that 100 times. Take your clicker and do it 100 times. Do it in 5-count increments. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, you want to concentrate on rolling onto your heel on the side of the foot, keeping your heel down. You don't want to come up on your toe too early. Let your momentum drag you up on your toe. Now, you're doing these kind of slow, so you may not even have enough momentum to drag you on your toe. That's okay. What you're trying to learn here is the back turn and the twist of your foot. Remember to do it 100 times. This is number 7 in the trail foot footwork drill. Okay, this is number 7 in the trail foot footwork series. If you haven't watched the previous ones, please go back and watch them. Okay, remember in our previous drill, we worked from an athletic or golf stance and did our back turn and down turn, driving it with our trail foot. This time we're going to do it with a golf club. Now, for doing this, you can hit golf balls if you want, or you can just, swing at the grass, whichever works for you. But I want you to do this drill 100 times so you're comfortable with it. Just take your club. Remember, you don't swing your clubs back, don't use your arms. It's a shoulder move in the back turn, your shoulder, and you should feel like you're torquing or twisting or screwing your right foot right down into the ground. So take your club and take your golf stance and just swing back and then swing forward. Now, when you swing forward, you should feel like your arms are getting left behind at the top. That's because you're still turning with your shoulders, and your foot is a reaction to it torquing. When your foot gets fully torqued and it feels like it can't go anymore, then use that for a trigger and turn your downswing. If it doesn't feel fully torqued, you just haven't turned far enough. I want you to do this drill 100 times. Just again and again and again. Do it in 5 increments, or increments of 5, and just count them 100 times. You really need to drill this in just like all the others.